Hey everyone, Kyle once again, aka Jurassic Godzilla fan. Welcome back to another movie review. For this movie review, I'm gonna do a movie review that one of the films I got in the mail from a while ago, and it was a film that I saw a long time ago, been trying to get on DVD, and I finally did. You saw this in one of my unpackaging videos, and it's a another Walt Disney film, and that is Mr. Magoo. Mr. Magoo, starring the late great Leslie Nielsen. Now, Mr. Magoo was from based on was a film that was based on the 1960s cartoon, which you recall if you called it which was a cartoon my dad he grew up with, he grew up with the old Mr. Magoo cartoon show. And if you didn't know the old show, Mr. Magoo he was a blind old man. And he always he always wherever he tries to do something, he ends up being fine. Walking off a building, but he ends up fine. Ends up walking into something else. And not getting hurt whatsoever. Pardon me. So they decided to do a film version of this, which was released on Christmas Day of 1997. Didn't do well at the box office, unfortunately. But had a budget of 30 million and made a 21 million worldwide. Well, only in the United States. I'm just reading. Reading what I'm looking up. Um, I'm just reading what I'm looking up here, and it was in theaters for only 2 weeks until it got pulled from theaters, and it was released straight to video. Which was I thought was which was kind of sad. But like I said, I saw it once a long time ago, so I didn't really know. So and so it started, like I said, it was directed by Stanley. This is a Chinese director. It was directed by Stanley Tong, who directed a Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan. He directed Police Story 3 and 4, both starring Jackie Chan. And like I said, it stars like I said, the late great Leslie Nielsen, who I absolutely loved. Next to next to Jonathan Winters, who's my favorite comedian. I love Leslie Nielsen. He was also a real funny comedian as well. I loved him as well, and we also be sadly missed. And he stars as Mr. Magoo. And among other cast members, you have Kelly Lynch, who was in Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, Ernie Hudson, Stephen Tobolowsky. You also have Malcolm McDowell in a small role, and Miguel Ferrer from the guy who created RoboCop in the original RoboCop film, the guy who designed it. And it also starts with this guy Nick Nick Chinlund, who the film I remember seeing him, and he was in Con Air. He was who was one of the prisoners. He was named Billy, that who got in a brief fight with Nicolas Cage, but down below, he's saying when Nicolas Cage was telling him to put the bunny back in the box, that prisoner, he's in this. And also Jennifer Garner is in this, probably one of the early films she did, And like I said, the film didn't do well. Not only did it do well at box office, but it was also panned by critics as well. Has a 3.8 on IMDb and has a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes, which to me personally, I don't think it deserves it, because I've seen a lot of comedy films that have been really crappy, like Scary Movie 3, 4, and especially number 5, or any of this these new spoof films recently, which I don't understand why people find it funny, you know, like Day Movie, Epic Movie, you know, but other comedy films as well. I've seen a lot worse, you know, but this one I say is a better comic film, especially from a film that's especially from a film that was in the '90s, you know. Better. This film was much better and funnier than some of the comedy films we have today, you know. Especially, you know, and this is from Walt Disney, you know. Especially if you've seen any of the the live action Walt Disney films like John Carter, The Lone Ranger, you know, those bombed badly, and this film didn't do well either. But I think this is, what I say is better than the big budget Walt Disney live action films, you know. Like I agree with this note right here. New Jersey Star Leisure, a high-spirited family comedy. I agree with that. You know, I had a lot of good laughs with this film. Although I do kind of disagree on from what's on the back here from the New York Post on superior slapstick and adrenaline pumping thrills. Well, I get the slapstick part, but adrenaline pumping thrills. What thrills? This is not a thrill. This is a Walt Disney film. And adrenaline pumping. What, this is an action film? This is not an action packed whatsoever. So I think I get the slapstick part, but I think you should just cut out the. I think you should just cut out the adrenaline pumping thrills part, though. It's just a blind old guy who's, you know, gets into trouble a lot, you know. So anyway, stars Leslie Nielsen as Mr. Magoo, and it opens up with the original cartoon, you know, the way the original cartoon was. It opens up with Mr. Magoo walking through his factory, falling out the window and not getting hurt or anything, and he's driving in his old car, you know, the Studebaker. And he's driving his way to this exhibition where he donated to this museum, opening a new wing, you know, and there's a new wing called this Red Ruby, the Star of Kiristan. He has his nephew with him, Walter Magoo, from what I recall, he's in the cartoon. I think he had a dog in the show, but I don't think it wasn't a bulldog like the one that's in the film, though. I don't think his name was Angus either. So you see Jennifer Gardner there as Stacy, how her last name was. You know, it's like trying to be like a foreign with a foreign accent. You know, Jennifer Gardner, I don't think she's really good with an accent like what Steven Seagal did in Machete with a fake Spanish accent. You know, Mexican accent. That not work for him whatsoever. But he was Waldo. You know, he was like nervous. You know, trying to ask her out though. But Mr. Magoo invites him to the opera. He's gonna be doing. And while that he's about to use the large scissors to cut the ribbon to open or something. Now he's like messing around. You know, like, well, he's not messing around. He's trying to find where the ribbon is. You know, when he cuts a electrical wire, it starts sparks everywhere. And he's like, what is this, indoor fireworks? You know, and he's like, I better go use a phone. You know, goes into you know, yeah. Even though people don't like him because I know he's a blind. Get to say this. Get the joke. Yes, he's a blind guy. Nothing happens to him. You know. Yeah, I know that. I get it. You know. But I see beyond that. I just think, you know, I just look beyond the problems that people have, you know. But I just look at it as a funny comedy film. And you know, he gets into a mummy's tomb, which thinks it's a public telephone, and he gets stuck in there for the whole night until the two burglars, which are the female thief, Luann Lusor, who goes through different disguises, you know, and the guy who's the dim-wig dumb guy, you know, played by Nick Chinlund, you know. oh, it was like, oh, got a mask. Yeah, turn the ski mask all the way front. You can see it better. They make a way they're trying to steal the red ruby, the Star of Kuristan. The guy, of course, he's the dim-witted guy. He falls down, ruins. Well, doesn't do it the wrong way, but he crashes through the display, gets the diamond. Um, and they hear Mr. Magoo, like, oh, well, yeah, I'll get some help. Of course, he's blind. He doesn't see what's going on. Oh, and he goes to the back emergency exit. Emergency exit sets off the alarm, and the two thieves get out. Um, and well, then the next day, Mr. Magoo he goes out fishing, with his dog Angus. Um, and then while he's on next to a big ferry boat, there's the two thieves, and well, the thief is working is the thief the league the guy the dim-witted thief Nick Chinlund is working for another gangster named Aston Chloe, I think that's the guy's name, played by Malcolm McDowell. He's working for him, and they hired Luann Lesueur to steal the star for him, but that she's in this she's in this for herself. She wants the diamond for herself. So she tries to kick the guy off the ferry, but she gets pulled and she loses the ruby, and of course you know how it is. They lose the ruby, it ends up being in the possession of Mr. Magoo. Um, and he gets he throws the fishing rod hook onto the guy, and he gets pulled from his arms growing, and he gets pulled into the water. But he's like, oh, he says pants. The guy's pants. I thought we were in the Bermuda Triangle, but we're nowhere anywhere in Bermuda. We're nowhere anywhere near Bermuda. I'll just play it safe and head for shore. So he goes off, and as he gets onto the dock, there's the big wheels that the ferry boats use, those those old river boats, the big wheels, and he's like, oh, it's an escalator, and he walks onto it, nothing happens to him, so he walks safely aboard. The guy, the lead guy thief of Bob, he tries to fall. Of course, he falls in, and they all go back to his house, and it's later in the night, that they're at the opera where Mr. Magoo stars in this opera, the I'm King of Norway, and the woman thief, Luann Lesueur, she goes in person as another person, and asks him, to get an interview so he can get closer to get the diamond the ruby from him. Both goes by the name Prunella, which Mr. Magoo thinks is a real nice woman, because she's asking him on a private interview. And then you get then also that you get two one person from the CIA, another person from the FBI, which is one to help to find because they think that Mr. Magoo created the diversion and allowed the thieves to steal the diamond, the ruby, so they think he's the brains behind this heist, which played by Ernie Hudson and Stephen Tobolowsky. So they were hired by Jennifer Garner to help retrieve back the ruby, and I thought it was a funny moment where we're at the opera and Ernie Hudson's telling he's like on a balcony and he's telling Stephen Tobolowsky who's down below to the headset. He's like, I spotted a conspicuous white male, dirty clothes, sticks out like a sore thumb. He's right behind him. He's like, walk backwards. All right, stop. And then he tells him to look to his left, and he looks himself in the mirror, saying he was the dirty white man. So and also as he follows Stephen Tobolowsky, he follows Mr. Magoo. it stands over here, but Mr. Magoo does not know that. And he has this big hammer, this Viking hammer, and sticks on his foot. He's like, oh! It hits him in the head. Uh, you know, maybe people think that's not funny though. But to me, I find it funny. Um. So then he actually turns on this big huge fan, and the whole scenery blowing, and the woman who's singing, keeps on singing until it's all over. So the next day, the Lone Luthor, as Pernilla, is talking, talking to Mr. Magoo, and and Mr. Magoo's saying, oh, there is how did he say it, has always has something like it's something close to his heart. So has it close to his heart, and she's like, is it a jewel, a ruby? And he's sort of searching him, but he doesn't have it on him. Taurus tells him, he's like, I want you to kiss me, but he ends up kissing a carp. Of course, they go back to his house, and while Stephen Tobolowsky and they go into his house to search, and while they're doing that, the thief Bob, the dumb guy Bob, thief, he's in there as well searching. And when Mr. Magoo returns, he goes and cook. He wants to cook. He's cooking this chicken, and of course, he's listening to the TV, right? And his dog brings the ruby in, and switches the channel, Of course, even though you're blind, you can't see, but also but you can hear different voices on the TV, right? I know that though, but Mr. Magoo, he does not. Apparently, Mr. Magoo doesn't know that he hears things the same voice. He'll tell him, first it was a cooking show, and it was a workout program. Tell him, lift the legs high into the air. If you've seen the trailer, and dance. He's lifting the legs high into the air. The chicken high into the air, dance. And then hear another voice of a construction guy. It's like, go get some sandpaper and sand that sucker smooth. And things like, he go get some sandpaper and sands the chicken. Yeah, I know. Yeah, everyone thinks that's dumb, because you can obviously hear different voices even when you're blind, But I can deal with it, because I always thought that was funny, but I can deal with that dumb joke though. Okay. I always thought that was pretty funny, Um. So So. Wasn't it? His nephew Walter, he returns to the house, and he sees the ruby, and Mr. Magoo, he's been playing fetch with a dog, and he throws it again. Then the thief Bob, he steals it, and they give on it. He steals Mr. Magoo's car, and they also give chase in his eggplant mobile, Yeah, who doesn't have an eggplant mobile? Because remember, he's the canned vegetable king, so of course he has a vehicle made out of a certain vegetable, The eggplant mobile. Oh Lord, he's not gonna get away. He's not gonna get away, But they lose. But eventually they lose him, and tells. But Llewellyn Luthor tells him she's pretending to be with the FBI, and tells him where they're going though, so that she can deceive him later on. Tells him that they're at this ski lodge where every billionaire gangster is going to be there, including Malcolm McDowell who's hosting it to sell the ruby off. And so, but everyone said that everyone's going to be there except the most devious gangster of all, Ortega Peru, the piranha, saying he never goes anywhere, So they have Mr. Magoo disguised as Ortega Peru, it's like, the guy's like, who the hell are you? And he's like, Ortega Peru, what's it to you? And he says, and Bob says, Mr. Peru never goes anywhere. And maybe people think this is a dumb line. Then this next line that Mr. Leslie Nielsen says, but I also thought that was a funny line. People may think it's funny or not, but to me, I think it's funny. He says, after the guy says Mr. Peru never goes anywhere, he's like, that's right, I never go anywhere. So when I go somewhere, everyone thinks I'm nowhere when I'm really there. It is the stuff that the Leslie Nielsen does makes me miss him even more, you know. I just really miss Leslie Nielsen. He was a really funny comedian. Next to Jonathan Winters, you know. I thought that line was pretty funny how he says it in that fake accent, you know. That's right, I never go anywhere. So he gets back to the ski lounge where so where they're all in this pool, you know, where they're gonna bid for it, and Mr. Magoo he wants to get a closer look at it, and he made up like this, drew like this fake tattoo on him. He leans forward in the water, and it starts to wash off, and Malcolm McDowell sees that. Even sees his picture in the newspaper, draws with the black hair and the black mustache, and I was like, Mr. Peru is Mr. Magoo. Of course, the dumb guy thief says, why would Peru disguise as Magoo? But then the Luann Lesueur, she beats the guys up and steals the ruby. Tells Mr. Magoo, yesterday made nothing to us, you know. Yesterday sucked. Then the cops arrive. They arrest the people there, but Mr. Magoo follows her on an iron board. You know, think it's a snowboard. You know, it's as easy as pie, you know. And Walt, there's like a women's snowboarding contest, and he's racing down the hill with them, you know, and he's the one who crosses the finish line first, and the guy else is like, it's a man on an ironing board. He's like waving, you know, he's like waving. And then the other guy, Thief Bob, he's down there, but you know, yeah, even though it's another dumb thing, you know, he freezes really quick, you know, even though it's impossible, he can't freeze that quick, you know. And he's like frozen solid like this. And there's the joke where the policeman says freeze, you know. I know. I can deal with it though. So. And also all that down the ski slope, Waldo and the dog Angus is going down there also. The FBI agent, his name is Chuck Stupek. He follows down. He's like, hold it right there, and he sees this big wall of snow. And he's like, ah, and it crashes into it. Like you saw if you see the trailer, you know, he's like, ah, it crashes into it, you know. If you've seen the trailer, so the woman the thief Luann Lesueur, she's actually working for Peru, for Mr. Peru, you know, to give him so she can get 15 million for the ruby. So she disguises an old woman. Their dog Angus sees that's really her. So she runs away, but they dropped a ticket to Brazil. That's where he's at. And there's the joke, you know, like, I forgot how it was, you know, like, why would we should go to Brazil? And Mr. was like, Peru's in Brazil. That's right. That's it for the ruby. Ortega Peru is in Brazil. You know, I forgot how those lines go, but you get the idea. So they go to Brazil, and they go to the guy's mansion, because this is his wedding day, it's his wedding day, so they can give the ruby to his fiancée. But Luann, she deceives, you know, the kid beats his bodyguards up, you know, because she wants the money and the ruby to herself. And of course, where Mr. Magoo stands next to a baboon, thinks it's a child, like ugliest child I've ever seen. There's like, but then it's not. He's like, great Scott. But then the next day they split up. Waldo gets caught, and he sneaks in through a window, and he scares the bride. She faints, and he dresses up in the bride's the bride's outfit. And well, that he's like Miguel Ferrer, that's Miguel Ferrer as Mr. Peru, is like, I have a surprise, and he's like, so do I. Adios, amigos. And there comes, I never loved you. But he sees his nephew's tied up, but he gives the rope back to him to help pull the rope which Waldo's hanging below where that crazy baboon was. But no one escapes Mr. Magoo, and he follows Peru and also Lou and Lucille onto their escape helicopter. He climbs in, grabs the diamond. He jumps overboard, into the river. And so does Lou and Lucille, while Peru gets arrested, from the police helicopter, tells him to land. He gets into an inflatable life raft. And the woman is like, Quincy, please give me the jewel, give me the jewel. And Mr. Magoo's like, Luann Lasore, you have the heart of an artichoke. And they're heading towards a waterfall, and they think they have this line to hook to the raft to pull them to safety, but he hooks it on wrong and hooks it to Luann Lasore, and she gets pulled up into the air while Magoo falls down the waterfalls. Like, as you see in the trailer, it's like, ah! They falls down, and he flips over and uses the raft as a parachute, And she gets arrested by Ernie Hudson and Stephen Tobolowsky. Later they get a book deal. They have it on the front cover of the picture of them arresting her. Then Magoo returns the ruby back to his place in the museum, and once Ernie Hudson and Stephen Tobolowsky autograph their book, of course, since he's blind, he writes it, but he has his pen, but he writes nothing on it, So as he's walking away with his dog, he goes back into the cartoon form. He's walking up the dinosaur and falls, Oh, Magoo, you've done it again, He lands on a K-woman statue. He's like, oh, pardon me, madam. Oh, Magoo, you dog, And of course, and at the end of the film has this little message, where nothing. It was like nothing. It was like nothing bad against blind people or anything. I don't know how it was though, but yeah. So that's Mr. Magoo. That's Mr. Magoo. Like I said, I really do enjoy it? I do. I really do, considering that Leslie Nielsen has passed away. Makes me love the film. It makes me like the film a lot, because I'm a big fan of Leslie Nielsen. It's a shame he's now passed, and it's too bad the film didn't do at the box office. And I thought when I read it debuted at number 10. But, and like I said, after 2 weeks in theaters, it was pulled from theaters and was released in home video. And I thought it said the time it said it was one of the biggest box office bombs of 1997. I'm like, really? It cost $30 million. They made $21 million, and that's a big box office bomb. From what I recall, there was one of the big box office bomb that was The Postman that starred Kevin Costner. That cost $80-some million and made like $17 million. Or there was that comedy film Lidota, where that cost like $62 million and made like $1 million worldwide. Those are big box office bombs. This is considered one of the biggest box office bombs in 1997. Totally disagree. To me, there's no special features. There's only a trailer, and that's it. To me, it doesn't deserve 3.8 on IMDb or 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's one of the better comedies than some of the comedies we have today. Leslie Nielsen, I say he really does a good job as Mr. Magoo. Even though the jokes in it, yeah, you know, it's like typical, you know, the whole he doesn't get hurt, or the when he's cooking, or you know, with the TV and everything, you know. I know you get the jokes, but I can deal with it though. I know how the jokes are. So, but the rest of the cast, I think they do good, you know. They do really. The rest of the cast, I think they do good. I like Ernie Hudson, Stephen Tobolowsky, you know, as the dimwit FBI agent, you know. Um, Kelly Lynch as the woman, the female thief, Luann Lasore. She was decent. Um, so I don't know to say, but if anyone, if you want to check this film, if you want to check this film out, feel free to, you know. If you like the film or don't, I'm fine with it. It's your opinion. I enjoy Mr. Magoo. And Leslie Nielsen, once again, he'll be really missed, and sad that he's now passed away. It makes me want to enjoy the film. Is this one of his best films? I've always thought that the first Naked Gun film was his best film. You know, I always thought that if I would put the top one of the top 5 best films from Leslie Nielsen, I would put number 1. I would put the Naked Gun, the first Naked Gun film. Then I would put I'll admit I'll put this in number 2. I think I'll just put this in number 2 of one of his best films. Then I'll put number 3. I'll put his performance in Airplane. I love Airplane. I loved him in Airplane. So I'll put this one of his best my 3 favorite films from Leslie Nielsen. I'll put Naked Gun, Mr. Magoo, and Airplane. So that's it. So that's my review of Mr. Magoo. Feel free to check it out if you want. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. Good for you. So that's Mr. Magoo. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later.